Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Note. I'm Greg.
I'm Ben.
And today, we're drinking bourbon, and rye, and double bourbon. All right, Ben, what's this all about?
All right, so we've got on the bar, bam, we've got 13th Colony Bourbon, bam, 13th Colony Rye, and bam, 13th Colony Double Oak Bourbon. So before we get into this, full disclosure, these were sent to us as media samples by the distillery, so thank you, 13th Colony.
Thank you so much.
We're very excited to get into these because these, to the best of my knowledge, are not available in Minnesota.
Right.
And I've heard a lot about them. There's there's some buzz going on out there.
Okay.
So we're gonna drink through these, but we are gonna cut in between each sample and get some water and stuff like that to make it fair. But we're gonna get into the bourbon first.
Okay.
So from what I know, 13th Colony is a distillery in a town called Americus,
In Georgia.
Georgia, which is a pretty cool town name.
It is a pretty cool town.
So, and from what I've seen, I think they're doing their own distillate. I mean, it's their own product. You know, I don't think this is sourced. So let's get into the bourbon here. 95 proof. I believe it's a 21% rye mash bill.
Amazing. All right.
So this one, I don't know anything about an age. Nice color on it though. Let's make sure that's not the double oak. Okay. Yeah, really rich color on that, which would suggest a little bit of age.
I think so. I mean, we don't know the age of the first two, but the third one is, I think 9 years. Is that 7?
Yes.
And then double oak for 2 more.
Yep, and we'll get into that.
Okay.
So right off the bat on the nose, this has a really rich,
Giving it a minute just to
kind of
acclimated to the glass.
Sure. It kind of has a standard bourbon nose to it, which is good.
We call those bourbon notes.
Bourbon notes, boom. So it has like those nice caramel, maybe brown sugar forward.
Let's just see about that. Rich. The first thought is it's kind of sweetness, like a caramel, but it's nice and light. But it is leaning toward the darker molassesy kind of flavor, I think, a tad.
It's rich. It's super rich, and I like that.
I'm also getting, how do I say what's the opposite of a negative?
Positive?
Like it's not young at all, but
no.
It may be well aged, even though it's not age stated.
Sure. Well, let's get into the taste here before we bore everybody with our nosing. Cheers. I think a lot of what's on the nose kind of carries over to the palate.
It has a lot more interesting notes than I was.
Chocolatey.
Yeah.
I'm getting some chocolate on this.
And maybe power of suggestion. And I'm going to go there. Oreo type flavors.
Really?
Are not totally.
We had an Oreo conversation off camera, so that's where the power of suggestion that comes from.
Boy, do they make caramel flavored Oreos?
I don't think so.
Because this, I think you could convince somebody.
You know what? I'm kind of with you on the Oreo a little bit. It does kind of have that. Maybe that's that chocolatey note that I'm getting. Really nice, actually. I'm pretty impressed with this. You know, with craft distilleries, we've often talked. It's such a terrible business model to get into because you have to wait on your product.
Years.
You know, I mean, they release clear spirits as well, but, you know, and so sometimes you have to put it out at a higher price, less age, sometimes, you know, just to get your product to the market. I'm not getting that with this, and
not
maybe
at all.
Maybe it's a climate thing. Maybe it ages faster in
But that was
Georgia.
my other concern. There's another state in our United States of America that also makes a fair amount of whiskey, and maybe
that we can't stand.
Maybe it's too hot there. And I've been to Georgia a few times.
It's hot.
And it's hot.
Yeah, so now Texas no longer has an excuse. Because this is really good.
This is really, really nice.
Yeah.
It hits a lot of the really nice traditional bourbon notes. Mm-hmm. But it's also, there's a flavor in the toffee, caramely area.
Sure.
That's a little unique. And it's kind of actually kind of cool.
Yeah, really, really impressed with this, especially coming out of a craft distillery that seems to be doing their own distillate. You know, so let's do.
It's got a great density too. Like, I would like to assume it's at most 5 years, But it sure drinks like quality slash.
It does, yeah.
Well aged.
And there is some nice oak on there too. There's a little bit of the tannic note.
Wood tannin, but it's nice. It's not bitter.
Overwhelming, yeah.
And
so yeah,
you said 21% rye mash bill.
21%, yeah. So I don't have the price offhand,
Yeah,
but I will
totally
look it up
guessing.
and I'll put it on the screen. Hopefully I remember to do that. Otherwise I'm going to look like an idiot at this point in the video. Well,
Maybe both.
I was going to say I walked right into that. All right, well, we're going to cut for just a second, and we're going to come back, and we're going to get into the rye. We're just going to get some water, clear the palate, so we can go with a fair assessment of that one. Please hold.
Please hold.
We're back with the rye.
Hi, rye.
This is a high rye, actually.
96%.
I think 95.
Oh, no.
Not to nitpick.
96.4.
Well, either way, it's either 95 or 96, but it's a high rye
And
whiskey.
full disclosure, this is the bourbon note, not the rye note.
So yeah,
We've had a few ryes, but we're not rye experts. So
Yep.
We'll see.
but we're clearly bourbon experts.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, this is not one of those baby ryes where it's just at 51 and it's got a lot of corn in it to
sure.
kind of appease the bourbon drinker,
Yeah.
dipping their
And
toes
us.
into the rye pool. Yeah,
Those
so
work well for us, especially me. Maybe more than you. But
this is grown-ups rye here. Nice traditional rye notes on the nose.
it was light and grainy, but I don't say that in a bad way. It's just I really get like the grain from the rye.
95 proof. Yeah, it's got,
Just a touch of maybe vanilla.
yep. I'm getting that traditional rye spice and vanilla mostly.
Yeah.
At first I kind of thought maybe it was going to get into that kind of clove and licorice area, but I'm not getting that as much as I would expect on such a high
maybe
rye
licorice
mash
a
bill.
tad, but all right.
Let's get into it here for the taste. Cheers.
Before we turn this into the nosing note.
Nice oak on this, actually.
Wow, it's like a liquidy barrel spice. Good density, good viscosity, by the way. Wow, really, it's not overly sweet, but there's a ton of sweetness in a bunch of different flavor categories,
Yeah.
and they work so well together.
I'm getting a strange, not strange in a bad way, but strange and I wouldn't have expected it, sweetness on the finish.
That's what I mean.
Like the
there's
aftertaste,
so
but
much
there's like
sweetness.
it's reminding me of something specific and I can't put my finger on it, like almost like a bubble gum or something. Something I would never expect to get out of a rye. You know? I'm gonna go in, we gotta get going for some more of this because this is very interesting.
Yep, it's there.
Are you getting that?
Big League Chew.
Yeah, it's kind of got that pink bubblegum
Pink
sweetness a little
bubblegum.
bit. Which, interestingly enough, we usually get from wheated bourbons or
Totally.
wheat whiskeys, and this is obviously completely opposite of that.
Yeah,
so
there's a Big League Chew kind of note, and that may sound weird, but it's there's probably 0% of that actually molecule. It's just it hits a memory spot.
Yeah.
It triggers a memory.
this is. I almost feel odd being too complimentary since we were sent these because I don't want people to
That's a
think that
fair
we're
point.
just,
we're shilling for.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not. But this is one of the better ryes that I've probably had.
I have to go there as well.
At
I
that
kind
high of a
agree.
rye content, because usually when the rye content gets that high, I still like it, but it's not really my
favorite
lane.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we both agree. Like, we're 8 times out of 10, we're going to go for a bourbon as opposed to a rye. But this one's really good, and it has a lasting little tiny burn on the tongue that sticks around a while. And I associate that with the rye spice. I don't know if I've ever got that before, but it's not a negative at all. It's just kind of a interesting characteristic.
Yeah, that sweetness on the backside of it is so noticeable now.
Yeah.
It is the Big League Chew, the bubble gum, but there's something more to it too. It's very interesting. It also has a little bit of that bourbony caramel to it, which is nice. So yeah, I mean, it's got a good balance of it's got some oak to it, it's got some of that sweetness, and then it has that really unique sweetness on the back end that I think really kind of wraps the whole thing up.
I think this is maybe the most interesting rye. Maybe the grain, I don't know where they source their rye from.
Yeah.
If it comes from that far south.
Very well-rounded.
It is.
It's
not off-putting at all.
I'm going to use the word smooth, but not in the insulting, it's missing something way. In the sense that this has no sharp edges. There's nothing sticking out. You know, sometimes you have a whiskey where it's like, it's good, but there's that one thing that kind of derails it.
Yeah.
This is just very well rounded. Like everything is right in its place.
There's a bunch of flavor notes, and they all work well together.
Yeah. So far I'm very disappointed because we can't get these in Minnesota. So now
I agree.
I've been really wanting to try these products, and now that we have them, it's like, okay, great. Just as I thought, they're good. People were right.
People were right. Yeah.
So next we're going to get into this double oak, which there is a lot of buzz going on the World Wide Web there about this one.
Okay.
So full disclosure, very excited about it, but we're going to cut one more time, get some water, clear the palate again, because this one we're jumping up to 135.3 proof double oak bourbon. It's going to be a departure from these two for sure.
I think so.
All right, we will be right back. Please hold. Final round of the 13th Colony tasting. This is the one we've been looking forward to the most. This is the double oak bourbon. From what I understand, it's a 9-year, 2 of those years spent in a secondary barrel.
Yes.
And that definitely shows up on the color of this.
Dark.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, it looks like you poured a dark beer, you know, like a Guinness or something, or some coffee into the glass.
Coffee, yeah, right.
So we've got 135.3 proof.
9-year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting it. I mean, if the base of this is the bourbon that we've already tried,
you would like to think so.
you would assume, then I think we're in for a treat here, so.
All right, let's see what we're getting.
Oh, wow.
I think maybe raisin, which I think that's...
A raisin fig, sort of.
Maybe. Earthy, a tad leathery.
But then a real nice kind of caramel and vanilla brown sugar backing, if that makes sense. Does that sound...
I'll tell you, there's another note I'm getting, and it's kind of prominent, and I love this aroma. It's not a flavor I've ever tasted, although taste and smelling are similar.
I feel like a drum roll is in order here.
No, it's when it starts to rain, and like there's the dirt on the ground, and you get this weird smell when it starts to rain.
I love that smell.
Yeah, absolutely, so do I. In the summer. It's just a little bit of like the dirt smell, like an earthy smell, but it's a really, really nice. I'm guessing
Damn it, now I'm getting it. This could be power of suggestion, but let's get into the taste here. The nose is amazing.
All right.
Cheers. That is incredible.
Wow.
That is absolutely incredible.
Wow.
I have no qualms about saying that about a distillery that sent us samples. That's an amazing bourbon.
In truth, before they reached out to us, maybe I'd heard of them and seen like on Instagram a post or two, but I know nothing about their stuff.
I don't know what the price is on this. Mm-hmm. It's sold out on the website, so I couldn't find the price.
Okay.
So I can't touch on that. But what I will say is this is absolutely a premium bourbon experience for sure.
This drinks like a couple of very premium bourbons that we've been lucky enough to be able to find. Mm-hmm. Now, we personally don't hunt for crazy allocated bottles and way overpay, but we've been lucky enough to like have an opportunity to buy at retail a couple of super nice.
This falls into the category of one that can just absolutely knock those off of their pedestal.
Absolutely.
This is incredible.
This is exceptional.
Yeah, all of those. So the earthy stuff, I'm not getting quite as much on the palate.
A little bit. It's
a little bit of
fig.
leathery and fig.
Really, yeah.
But the dark sweetness, that dark caramel that you get out of that, you know, when you get the high proof, maybe a little bit of light honey, which I tend to get on higher proof stuff as well.
Don't call me Shirley.
But it's just, yeah, it has incredible viscosity to it. The mouth feels amazing.
But so the viscosity
Lingering
sounds
flavor.
really weird as a description. But what that does is it really kind of holds the flavor notes against your tongue, so you get like the full experience. Mm-hmm. This works really, really well.
Yeah, this is.
There's a touch of a red pepper note. I mean, it's got some spice, obviously. You know, the rye and the 130-something proof. They're noticeable.
Yeah, I think this is the same mash bill as this, because it is the same base bourbon. So
Sure
it's
would seem
21%
Yeah.
rye bourbon.
Yep.
But yeah, it's so bold and rich, but it's not like a sledgehammer
It's
either.
not over the top. It's
Yeah.
just really powerful but well controlled.
It's definitely a high proof bourbon, and there's
Absolutely.
no masking that.
Yep.
But would I have guessed it's 135?
And 9 years.
Maybe not. Yeah. And 9 year and double oak.
9 years in presumably really hot Georgia.
Yeah.
Like, which has got to be, Kentucky still gets pretty hot, I think.
Oh.
Minnesota bourbons, there's a few. 9 years of Minnesota would not give you this much complexity. And like comparing it to a 9-year Scotch, their temperature swings are nothing.
Those are all used barrels too, so you're not getting that fresh barrel char.
Exactly.
But this one, like every time I go back to it, it just keeps getting more and more. I don't know if, again, we're
the only complaint I can think of is we can't buy a full bottle of this.
Exactly, that's the problem.
I don't care the price. Shut up and take my money.
Yeah, exactly. Point. Here's a blank check. No, so I don't know how much the price of this is. Maybe it's $300. Sure. Maybe it's $100. Yeah. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So again, we can't really touch on that in the review. I will at this point have placed the price on the screen. Hopefully, I can find it somewhere. Mm-hmm. But, and I think there was I think it said 1,800 and some change bottles of this made. So it is a very, very limited
it's a small distillery
amount. And so they did a 2022 and a 2023 release of this. And so I don't know which one this is. It actually doesn't say. I'm assuming it's a 2023.
It would be, yeah.
And so when this comes out again, I would imagine when the word gets out, actually strike everything we said, don't buy this, it's terrible, leave it all for us.
I endorse that point of view, but in full disclosure, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be looking for this when it comes out.
Totally agree.
For sure. This is one that if you have a bottle of this, you bring this one to the whiskey tasting or to the bottle share when everybody's trying to bring something, not to show off, but you want to bring something unique that people are going to really appreciate and really is going to kind of offer them something different. This bottle would be perfect for that.
So, we've recently, over the past few months, we've had the opportunity to taste some Buffalo Trace Antique Collection stuff, some super high-end Jack Daniel's Coy Hill stuff, and a few others in that category. And there's some absolutely great things out there. Don't overpay for them. They're awesome, but not worth overpaying. But this is absolutely in that category.
Oh,
this is amazing.
Without question.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. So, in conclusion, these are all great. The regular bourbon is really good.
If I can buy it, and shipping Minnesota could be hard, but I will keep this on my shelf. Yeah. If I can get it.
It's a great down the middle of the road bourbon with a little something extra to offer. It's got all the traditional bourbon notes, but it has there's just something a little extra about it that I like. The rye.
Well, here's what I'm going to say about the rye. This is my favorite rye I've ever had. And admittedly, I've had maybe a dozen, but I like them fine. But this one, I think, was kind of interesting.
Yeah. This one drinks, I would have assumed maybe that this is more of a premium whiskey.
Yes.
And to be honest, all of these, and then the double oak is just, it's outstanding. I don't know what more to say about it. So, all right. Well, thank you, 13th Colony, for sending these samples out. If you can get a hold of any of these, they're an absolute recommend for sure.
Totally agree.
All right. Well, this has been some 13th Colony offerings on the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben.
I'm Greg. Till next time. See you next time.